Hey, what's up, guys? The other day while I was working on this throwing axe mechanic for a server, I realized that I didn't go over how to do some in-depth NBT things and things to do with attributes and whatnot. Today I'm going to show off how you can make custom items such as this and this, and how you can change the lore of items live while you're playing the game through server events. So this isn't going to be through like new startup event items or ItemEvents.modification. This is through like while you're playing. If you're planning to just create your own items, it's probably better just to stick all this inside of, where you create them. But this is useful if you want custom items for servers and whatnot. Here, I'm just going to quickly show you how you can get an attribute of a certain item. I just have a simple switch case for player.mainHandItem.id, so whatever we have in our main hand. And here, I'm just going to go, if our main head item.item, now this is important. This goes a little bit more in depth to like prototypes and like making copies of said thing. This just reflects back to the original instance of the item. This also works if you do get item as well, but I like to just put item. And what you can do with this is you can do get attribute. And then in here, you can put in whatever attribute you want. So I'm just going to do get attack damage. Now it's going to return as an array, assuming that there's things for other slots, such as like offhand and chest plate and whatnot. Assuming we're just working with simple tools that just have things like attack damage and attack speed, we can just put 0 here. So the first instance it gets of attack damage, which will be the main hand. And then over here, we're going to do .amount. And quickly, before I do this, the ingot doesn't have the attribute, so I'm going to swap this over to a sword. But yeah, as you can see here, we get its base damage, and then the 1 just gets added because your fist does 1. So this is like the base damage of an iron sword, pretty much. You can also go back here and do the same for attack speed. Yeah, as you can see here. Now that value you see might seem a little bit weird, but the reason it's like that is because the value you see here is actually 4 minus 2.4. Because 4 is the base speed of your fist, and it's just subtracting that 2.4 to get to that 1.6. And that's just one of the weird ways that attack speed works in Minecraft. Another thing I want to show you, which will tie up to everything I'm going to show off today, is the hide flags feature. You're going to have to look up exactly how this works altogether if you want to find out more in-depth details about it. But for today's purpose, we're just going to do hide flags equals 2. Now, this will pretty much hide all of the base attributes that the item already has. So here in game, when I right-click, as you can see, everything disappeared off of it pretty much except for the name. This is going to be useful for later because we're pretty much going to recreate the win in main hand thing down here. So here, I'm just going to recreate a function I made, and I'm just going to go in depth of how it works since it ties everything I've showed off so far. The first thing I'm going to start off with is I'm going to do an item.nbt.hideFlags over here just to start, which will hide all of the base attributes that the item already has. Next, over here, I'm going to do item.add attribute modifier. So one of the things you're going to need to do if you want to use add attribute modifier is you're going to have to reflect the Minecraft entity AI attributes. As you can see over here, there's nothing much to explain over here. We're just loading a class from Minecraft itself. And just copy this line of code and put it to the very top. For the first thing you're going to do, you're going to put which attribute you want. So I'm going to do generic.attack damage. And then here we're going to construct a brand new attribute modifier like that. First field here is a little bit annoying. I would just look up Minecraft UUID generator. And you just want to generate a UUID and put it here in quotations, so it's a string. Next, what you want to do is just put a name for it. I'm going to do attack damage. Now over here is where you're going to put the amount of damage you want. Instead of just putting damage though, I'm going to do damage -1. So that whatever number you put in will... So what I explained earlier is that your fist counts as 1 damage that gets added to the total. So we're just subtracting that fist damage. And then for the last thing you want to do is put addition. So over here, you want to finish the rest of the property by saying which hand you want it in. I'm just going to put main hand here. Over here for attack speed, I'm just going to copy and paste this and change a couple things. Firstly, I'm going to come over here, change that to attack speed. Then I'm going to go and generate a brand new UUID to put over here. And then I'm going to rename this to attack. Now this part is a little bit weird, but this is how I got it working for me, is I put negative in brackets for minus speed. And that should hopefully give you the correct attack speed. So next, this line is important if you want to use items that don't already have display data on them or lore data like swords and tools and whatnot. Basically, if you just want to use normal items like ingots, then this line is important. So you want to say, if the item doesn't have NBT.display, then we're going to do item.nbt.display equals empty object or a compound tag, whatever it is. Now lastly, for the last part over here, we're going to do item.nbt.display.lore with a capital L. We're going to put some square brackets. And now this part is a little bit tedious. Unlike when you do startup, you can't just do text of or string or text of string or anything like that. None of that works over here. You have to use basically normal NBT text lines. This is a good example of it. I'm actually going to leave this one over here, not only for you to copy, but also because this is what adds the empty line above the items over here. So I'm going to go to the next line over here. And for this next section, if you want color inside of your names and whatnot, look up the Alt-21 symbol and get this symbol over here. And then for what to put after that, you want to look up Minecraft color codes. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to put 7, and then I'm going to do win in main hand, just like that. This next line is super duper confusing to explain. However, I'm going to paste it and try to break it down piece by piece and then rebuild it underneath. to hopefully explain it as best as I can. Over here, since you have to use normal NBT tags, I'm using some backspace quotations to artificially wrap whatever I have here inside. I'm just going to go ahead and grab this basic one over here and rebuild it to explain it. So for the first portion of the text, I'm actually going to delete that and put two small parts just like that and put a plus sign. This is now successfully split in half. Now what you want to do is just add a couple more pluses. And over here in the middle, you want to put 3 of these and escape that one just like that. And then you come over here, you put 3 more quotations, and then you escape it using a what are they called? Backdash, I believe, something like that. After you've done that, I'm just going to put and 2 so that it looks as similarly as possible as it can to vanilla. But you can put any color here if you want to make it different for some reason. But and 2 is the vanilla green that it uses. And then over here, I'm going to put another plus and then just make some space there. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to do item.get attribute modifiers for the main hand. We're going to get the entries for all of the attribute modifiers, get the 0th entry, and we're going to get .value, .amount. So how this works is it depends on how you set it, and it's like this in vanilla too. The first entry is attack damage, and the second entry is attack speed. If you have a modded item with some weird other properties on it, this might mess up a bit. So just a heads up. There are other ways you can do like some for each loops or something if it's really that complicated. However, I'm not going to cover that today. This is just a basic showing of how to do this specifically. Now, the next thing I'm going to do for this one, this is specifically just for attack speed. You can see the attack damage one above here. It's just +1 here at the end, pretty much, and then wrapped with number. You can just copy down. I'm just trying to explain the premise here. But anyway, you wrap that in parentheses, and you do +4, and then you go ahead and wrap it again. And then you put that as a number. Now, the last thing I like to do over here is just rewrap everything again and then put 2 fixed, 1. Sometimes you'll have some weird floating point error, and it'll cause it to be like super duper long and fucked up looking. So this is just a pre-measure to prevent that. But now if I return over here to my item, I can just do @fix player.mainHandItem. Oops. Player.mainHandItem. I want to give it 7 damage with, let's say, 1.6 attack speed. So basically like a diamond sword. Now if I go in game and I right click it, boop. As you can see, it worked, but I forgot to write down attack speed for the attack speed section. I'm gonna go back and fix that real quick. Give me a second. And there you go. As you can see, this should now be doing the same damage as a diamond sword. Now I'm going to show off one more thing as to how you can make these custom items craftable. So over here, I'm just going to create a new constant for, let's just call it iron katana. And then here, I'm going to do item.of Minecraft iron sword. We want one of them. And then I'm going to make a new line and tab all the way to here, just so that it's neater. I'm going to do with NBT. So this will give it NBT tags that you want. And I'm going to do hide flags 2. And this is what I was talking about earlier. If you wanted to do custom model data, you could put this over here and then just give it custom textures. So like 577. You could do it up here with item.nbt.custom model data. You get the point. Basically, you can change the item's texture on the fly, which is pretty cool. If you have other tags you want to put here, like unbreakable or anything else, you can also just cram that in there and then just put commas for each one. However, I'm just going to do hide flags 2 for this example. Next, we're going to do set hover name. And we're going to put a string. Get that alt 21 symbol. And I'm just going to call it iron katana. Sure. And then you go over here and you go with lore. You put parentheses, square brackets, and then enter. This will give you multiple lines of the lore. Now, unlike over here where you have to do this ugly stuff to cram the data inside of the NBT, you can just do text.of and then put whatever you want. So I'm just going to leave it blank over here. Text.of. Let me just grab this when in main hand. Text.of. Put a space there so that it looks a little bit more appropriate. And then, what was its attack damage? Oh yeah, 7 attack damage. X.of base to 1.6 attack speed. And then remember to put commas at the end for all of them. Lastly, I'm just going to drag in a recipe for an iron katana. There's other tutorials on how to do recipes, but you just want to put this over here. In quantity, you do over here, obviously. So this will make 1 iron katana with everything we listed over here. 2 iron ingots. It did not work for some reason. That's weird. I did not save the file. Okay. I just realized I was being a dummy. And I have to put it inside of a recipe. I don't know why. Or a recipe event. I don't know why I did what I did, but anyways. Just gonna quickly throw up recipe event over here. So now if we go in game, there you go. We got the katana. I forgot to add a space where the attack speed is, but you get the point. This should let you make custom items with whatever attributes you want based on the server. Why is that not the right number? So over here, the last thing you want to do to actually apply these things when you craft the item is to get a server event stock crafted. Oh, sorry, it's an item event stock crafted. We're gonna do item equals event. Over here, I use custom model data to signify which item should be which. However, for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to give it an NBT tag that should distinguish it. So we're going to give it a custom NBT tag, and we're going to call it just something simple, I guess. ITM ID. And we'll make it 5, just something random. We're going to do if the item doesn't have the item ID NBT, then we're going to return. However, if it does, then we're going to do a switch statement with it. So item.nbt.item ID. Over here, we're going to do case 5, return, do the default value for the switch, which will also be a return. And then over here, we're going to do attribute fix, item, what was it? 7 attack damage, 1.6 speed. And boom. If we go in game, it should hopefully actually apply the damage. Yeah, as you can see there, it's working. That's so cool. So one last thing I just wanted to throw at the end here is just how I changed the lore of the item. It's because the lore is basically an array. So I can grab the very first line, which is usually that blank line, and I can specify it that when I'm pressing shift, it will just be ah. So let's go in game and check that out real quick. Yeah, so as you can see over here with this item, we can just change the lore depending on whether we're crouching or not when we right click. And you can set it up to whatever you want, obviously. It's just with the NBT tags, like I showed you earlier. Anyways, sorry for the messy and somewhat convoluted video, but I hope this answers the questions I've been seeing on my own videos and like other people's videos, comments and whatnot. It seems to be a common enough topic that people ask for all the time that I thought I would just cover it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you later.